Welcome back, sports fans. In the final segment, I'm going to share my prediction for tomorrow's game. Okay, I have gone over all the stats with you. I've discussed the injuries with you. Is it any surprise that I'm going to say that I think the Packers are going to win tomorrow? I think a lot of you would be shocked if I didn't select the Packers. There is one road where I think the Lions could possibly win, but I don't see them doing it, and I don't see part of it happening. And that would be if DeAndre Swift played and the Lions controlled the game and the clock by running the football. Without DeAndre Swift, I don't see that happening. Part of the reason for that is they didn't get a lot of rushing yards the first week. Or, I'm sorry, not the first week. It's actually the second week of the season, first time they played the Packers. Adrian Peterson, I believe, had 42 yards rushing. I think they rushed for about 86 yards as a team. And while they're averaging a little bit more than that, they're still averaging less than 95 yards rushing per game. The Packers easily rush for more yards than that. Also, the Packers throw for more yards than the Lions do. It doesn't mean that Matt Stafford can't throw for more yards than Aaron Rodgers. In fact, I believe he probably will. But the one thing that the Lions are going to be susceptible to tomorrow, and I would say look out for it, is the play-action pass. Especially if the Packers, the first couple of plays, run the football, and then for a lot of the rest of the game, they go play-action pass on the Lions. The Lions are giving up a lot of yards both ways. As I said, they're both they're 26th against the pass and 28th against the run. The Packers are 5th in passing and 9th in rushing. So why wouldn't the Packers be able to have their way in those two facets against the Lions? I don't see the Lions being able to stop the Packers very easily. They didn't the second week of the season, and now the Packers are healthier than they were then because Davante Adams was injured in that game somewhat and only had 3 receptions for 36 yards. EquinimeousSt.Brown, who was a factor in last year's game at Lambeau Field, did not play the first week, but he's going to play this week. Conversely, Kenny Golladay will end up not playing either of the games against the Packers, just like he didn't play in either of the games against the Bears. So it's an extremely narrow pathway for the Lions to win. I just don't see it happening. The Packers are extremely talented. The Lions are giving up about as many yards as the Packers are averaging, and the Packers had almost 500 yards of offense the first time they played. So why would I think that they won't have 400, 450 yards at least against the Lions? The one thing I will say that'll be different is I don't think the Packers are going to get to 40 points. But then again, I don't think they're going to need to. They'll be in the upper 30s, and I will need to do some research on this, but it is possible they could set a single-season scoring record against the Lions. I know of a couple of years where the Lions gave up almost 80 points to the Packers in a season, but I don't think there's been one that I can think of offhand unless it was 2012. Where in fact they did give up over 80 points to the Packers. Like I said, I will get back to you on that as soon as I know about that. But I'm hoping it won't come to it anyway. I'm hoping the Lions will find a way to at least contain Aaron Rodgers and the Packers from scoring, much like they did in the game 2 years ago where Aaron Rodgers threw for over 400 yards. And for those of you who don't remember that game or don't recall it, what happened is the Lions jumped out to a 20-0 lead at halftime. The Packers missed a field goal. It might have been 2 field goals. I know it was at least 1. They turned the football over 3 times in the first half and spent the rest of the game chipping away at the Lions' lead and kept the Lions at bay for a lot of the rest of the game. However, the Lions did get a late touchdown, and they hung on to win that game 31-23, which in fact is the last time the Lions had beaten the Packers at Ford Field. Bear in mind, Matt Stafford did not play in last year's game either. So for all these reasons, yes, unfortunately, I'm going to say the Lions' playoff hopes officially end tomorrow, though it was a very valiant effort against the Bears last week, and by no means am I diminishing Darrell Bevell in the job that he did. but he's going to have to do such an excellent job that if they do beat the Packers tomorrow, I think regardless of what happens these last 3 weeks of the season, that Darrell Bevell ought to be the Lions' next head coach. And that will do it for another episode of the Detroit Lions Tomorrow. Stay tuned next week for the last college football recap of the season, unless the Spartans qualify for a bowl game. Then I'll have a special one that will preview that bowl game that they will play in, provided, of course, that occurs. Also, later on tonight, I will have a summary of the Detroit Pistons' first exhibition game against the New York Knicks, which was played yesterday. And don't forget, stay tuned for the next episode of the Detroit Lions Tomorrow next week, where I will preview the Lions game against the Tennessee Titans, which will be the Lions' final road game of the season. My name is Ed Moss. Take care. If you're out on the roads, drive safely. Have a wonderful day. If you're watching football, enjoy it. Take care. Goodbye for now.